The following is a presentation of Project Independence and WCWP. Project Independence is the Aging in Place initiative of the town of North Hempstead.
Welcome to Project Independence and You.
Good morning and welcome to Community Talk Radio. This is Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host and producer, Kristina Liu, along with my co-host, Otto Loos, longtime volunteer, supporter, friend, the face of Project Independence, really, the man of the hour.
Good morning.
Welcome. So we have a jam-packed show today. We have on Councilwoman Kristina Liu, not to be confused with Kristina Liu. That's, we like to confuse the town North Hempstead. That's what we go with, Councilwoman and I. And we have police officers Mark Maguire and Jesse Cooper, who are from the 3rd Precinct POP Officer Unit. And we are talking all things senior safety, scams, just trying to protect the community. So thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I'm glad. So there's so much to talk about. During the beginnings of the show, we were going over all the intense amount of things and how do you do this? And it's just, you guys are doing a complete service because I believe education is a huge part of this, right? Getting the word out.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, we can't stop all the bad guys, but I think we could educate people and protect them as most. So tell us, Councilwoman, how you partnered up with the police officers. Are you trying to get a badge? What are you trying to do?
Yeah. Officer Loser.
Yeah.
Okay. So actually, it's some sad stories that came to me when I was working with Assemblywoman Gina Solitti. There were 2 seniors on separate occasions reached out to our office, and it was just heartbreaking to see how much money they lost. One senior wired about $50,000 thinking that they were helping a loved one in another country. And another senior, maybe like just 6 months later, called and said they needed help. They wired $20,000 to pay some bills online, both of which were scams. And in helping them to try to retrieve this money, I realized from law enforcement's perspective, it was really difficult. Once the money is out of your account, it's almost impossible to get back for them. So it was just really heartbreaking to hear that and see that. And so in researching more, I realized that nationally, seniors lose about $3 billion to scammers each year. That's $3 billion out of your hard-earned savings from your own accounts that they can never get back. And so when I became the councilwoman, I thought, I have so many senior groups in my district. I have about 7.
Yeah.
Great Neck Social Center, New Hyde Park, Herrick's Leisure Group, and then I have some ethnic ones who language, English isn't their first language, so I was even more scared for them. I have like Joy Fu, the Chinese senior group, and I have some Indian groups like Milan and Echo. So I decided to call upon our 3rd Precinct, and we have wonderful POP officers. And I said, can we take this show on the road? Let's educate our senior groups. So we did a senior scam prevention series where we made appointments and we presented to all the seniors the scams that are going on nationally that affect them, as well as the ones in our own neighborhood and what, they can do to prevent these things from happening to themselves. Because like you said, Kristina, education is the key, right? And, in talking to all of our seniors, I realized that they're the ones being targeted because our seniors are just such trusting and loving people. Unfortunately and fortunately, right? They're our grandparents and they want to help their grandchildren if they're in trouble, right? If they hear that their neighbor needs some help, they're going to assist them. And usually, from that day and age, a handshake was something that they sealed the deal. They're not looking at all these online scams that are happening to them, or anybody day in and day out. So they're very trusting. And a lot of our seniors also live by themselves and a bit isolated. So they welcome the phone calls sometimes. They want to talk to people. If someone knocks on their door, actually, when I knocked on somebody's door for something, they let me right in. I was a bit taken aback at how trusting they were. So I really felt like this group of seniors, or our seniors, really needed more education on what was going on around them. And so Officers Jesse Cooper and Officer Mark Maguire, they really did help. And we went to about like 5 or 6 senior groups to let them know what the scams are and how to protect them. Because I think these scammers, they're just preying on all of our fears and our worst fears.
I could picture a group of people like us sitting around having a marketing meeting about how can we scam people.
Yes.
It's probably a collective operation,
Yes.
probably not just one person. Somebody has this knowledge, somebody has that knowledge. What right now are the hot scams, if you will, that are going on that you hear more about?
Well, yeah, I mean, the hot ones now, I mean, it's the biggest thing really is the phone scam. It's the most successful by far as scams. It's very easy to reach people. They call up and they'll pretend to be anyone. They'll pretend to be the IRS. They'll pretend to be a family member. They'll pretend to be law enforcement. They'll pretend to be a utility company. And the numbers just keep going up. I had been preparing for this. I had our stats person run some of the numbers for us. And back in 2020, we had about 243 countywide scams, elder scams. And now we're up to, in 2024, we more than doubled that. We have about 438. And we're already on, for 2025, we're already up to 55 seniors that have been scammed and have lost money. So.
And it's horrible because those are like what's reported, right? So imagine all
Well,
the things that are under.
I was just about to say that number, that 3 billion number, is incredible. And that's just what's reported.
Right.
It's a lot worse than that.
Yes,
Nothing,
people are embarrassed to
Yeah,
report
right.
these things too. So
and nothing frustrates me more than our seniors just giving away their money and their hard-earned money that
Yes.
that they depend on. And we can stop this. We can stop it just by education alone. And that's why I think this is really important that we're doing this, and that we also, as part of POP, we go around and we do senior scam presentations all over the 3rd precinct. And it's something we really can't do enough of, because this is how we can stop it, is education and letting people know that this is how it all works. This is what's going on, and this is how they take your money.
You know, the people who go to these meetings are the ones that probably won't get hit as often. But I think a problem that everybody has in everything, including Project Independence, is trying to get the word out
To the
people who
homebound
don't go to
senior,
those
right,
meetings.
right.
Yeah.
You know, the people who go to these, like Project Independence meetings, the meetings you guys run, they want to learn and they want to be educated. And unfortunately, I think there's a nucleus of population that doesn't go to those places, and they don't get educated, and they get
hopefully they're listening, right?
Yeah,
to
that's
your
right.
radio
Sure.
show, right?
Well,
This is
yes,
important, right? The
homebound.
homebound.
Yeah.
you know, do listen to things
Right.
like this. And this frankly is also on television every day of the week. Uh,
No, and
Yeah,
I think it's important, because it goes back to the education piece, certainly. And it's, we always say with our Project Independence, active members, it's, they're like our ambassadors, right? So they're the ones, because I think that's how people learn best. I know from our own meetings when we bring up scams, we always say, bring a scam to one of our advisory meetings, because then we're getting the word out. And I cannot tell you how many times someone will say, I got this grandparent scam, and now someone's like, oh my God, that happened to me, and it starts taking the shame away, and people kind of start just spreading that knowledge. So I think it's for anyone listening or watching us on North Hempstead TV.
Well, I
you
believe,
try
and
to
you
do that,
can let us know more, is the phone. To me, I didn't know it was the number one area, but I had a feeling. I think technology has made it easier for the crooks, if you will, because they can fake caller IDs. They can do all kinds of things that make you think you got a phone call from Disney,
Exactly.
and it's not
Yeah.
Disney.
Yeah.
I was so excited to see Disney World on my caller ID, and I picked it up right away. Did I win a cruise?
They were
Right.
probably going to give you a free trip,
Right.
but all you had to do was send them the
Send
initial
them.
$500
Exactly.
to get the trip going.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I was really introduced to how serious this was when my grandfather was alive, and someone had called him up and told him that his grandson, me, was under arrest and needed bail money. So he was very upset about this, and he had the strength to hang up on the guy and call up my aunt in Connecticut and say, hey, Jeannie, did you know that Jesse just called me? He said he was arrested, and I need to send bail money. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to the bank, and I'm going to go meet this guy in Brooklyn and give him money, because my grandfather would do anything for me.
Right.
And Jeannie says, no, Dad, it's probably a scam. So my aunt calls me and says, Grandpa thinks that you're under arrest. I said, oh my goodness. So I just happened to be driving my car. I was on my way home at the time, and I did a U-turn, went right to my grandfather's house, and I knocked on the door, And he answered, and he was in tears. He's like, "Oh, Jesse, I thought you were under arrest." And I said, "Grandpa, if I was under arrest, I'd be on the front cover of Newsday."
Yeah.
Right? So,
A bigger problem.
yeah, you would know. So, they play off our fears. They play off our seniors' fears, and that's how they get you. They scare you. They put you in a state of fear. And until that state of fear comes down, you're not going to realize you're probably that you're getting scammed. Okay, because that state of fear is what makes us do what we have to do to get out of that state of fear. And they play on that. They play on our fears. Unless, of course, it's one of the lottery scams. And then you're really happy. And it's like, oh, wow, yeah, I just won the lottery. What do I have to do? Oh, sure. Okay, just send us $1,000 to this unit here, wire another $1,000 for here. And don't worry, we'll be at your house with a briefcase full of cash. We all know that that's not how it works.
One of the things we've heard on this show in the past, with that type of scam that you described, is to have a family password, so that you ask the caller, what's the password? Even if you don't remember the password, ask them, what's the password?
Yeah.
Well, we used to do that as kids. What's the password?
Right.
Don't get into a car with a stranger.
Yeah, you're going to be in a
Right.
club.
So, yeah.
So you know why the password is really important, because you probably will hang up and try to locate that loved one, right? But not everybody picks up their phone these days.
Right.
And for the senior waiting at home for, I'm calling now my husband or I'm calling now my grandchild, and they're not picking up, it even brings about more worry within them, right? So they must be in the hospital then. They must be, in jail because they're not picking up, but they couldn't pick up for whatever reason. Maybe they're in class or they're at work. And so that password is really helpful, because that time where your senior is just waiting at home for you to call them back, so many thoughts are going through and they're thinking the worst thoughts, and they'd rather just have a peace of mind and give that money instead of just waiting. So the password is key.
Yeah, that can help. But what I always say is the scammers, and you allude to how they work. They want to keep you on the phone. Okay, they will try and keep you on the phone until they get their money. And then once they get their money, they're going to call back again. Guarantee you there's going to be another issue, and they're going to try and get more money from you. The best thing to do is to just hang up and call the phone number that belongs to your family member. If it's the family member scam, if it's the IRS scam, if it's any kind of scam, or you think it might be a scam, just hang up. Okay, they don't want you to hang up, and they're going to try to convince you to stay on the phone. Just hang up and then call and verify. If it's a family member, try and talk to that family member. And if you can't get through to that family member and you still feel like you're being scammed or something's wrong, call 911. We'll be happy to come down and talk to you, okay, and help you through this, because 9 times out of 10, probably more than that, it's a scam.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't initiate the action, you have absolutely no obligation to follow through.
Right.
You know.
I think that's the best rule of thumb, right? Because it applies to so many things. Because I say it all the time, right? I'm always, we're always talking about scams on the show, and even my own family. I'm like, if you don't know, if you're suspicious, it's oh, this is your bank calling, you're like, I don't know. Call the number that for the bank or the credit card company, and I think just across the board, that tip, is the best tip to utilize, certainly.
Yeah, I mean, even some of the computer virus scams that are out there. You could click on an email, that's a scam email. It'll put a virus on your computer, and then a screen will show up with a phone number to call on how to fix the virus. Yeah. And people call that number, and then they tell them to call this other person. And then once they call this other person, they fall down this line of, oh my gosh, I have to pay this guy for this just to get my information back. And some people, they have a lot of valuable things on that computer. They have their bank accounts, they have a lot of files and things like that. So they will scam you into giving them money to the point where you will lose thousands of dollars. They'll even come to your door and ask for an envelope for money. And that's how we catch a lot of these guys, because some people, they go, oh, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right. They hang up, they call us, and then we assist them. And if they come to the house to pick up their money, that's when we lock them up.
Well, I mean, not maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I got the thing, systems update. Okay. Now I'm so skeptical now because of everything we've heard over the years. That I'm not going to. I'm not going to click on systems update. I went online to see if there was a new update.
Good job, Otto. Taking our advice.
Android 4 point whatever.
Right.
And yes, there's a legitimate systems update going on.
Right.
But
right.
I could visualize, I thought about it. I said, I could see a lot of people, if this was a phony, just banging away on that thing. And, you know,
Yes.
I heard one recently about another avenue, QR codes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The
that's
one I
another
heard
yep.
was the one where you get a gift, you don't know who the gift came from. So there's a little QR code in the gift that you get, like from Amazon or whoever, and it says, if you want to learn where this came from, scan this QR code, and the next thing you know, you have everything is gone on your phone.
Yeah.
So QR codes, I think, have become, nice flyer up on the wall.
Yeah, a QR code can be fake. If there's a legitimate poster with a legitimate QR code, I've seen instances where in videos where people take a sticker and
tape
put
right
their
over
own
it.
QR code right over that. So it's to the point where you really can't trust anything. You know, if you're approached by any kind of media or any kind of text or any kind of phone or someone comes knocking on your door, it's, you really can't trust it.
It almost has to become a way of life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
You know?
You're right. You have to like
Yeah.
change it.
You're always on guard. You have to
Yeah,
got it.
and that's not good, but yet on the other hand, you have no choice.
You have to protect yourself. But I feel like at least we should all know, all of our listeners should know that government entities like the IRS, right, or Social Security, they never call you. They'll never call you. They'll always
correct.
send you a letter of some sorts, right? Can you imagine? Our government can't even fund people to staff them to call us, right? So they're never going to call. So when you hear that from Social Security office or from the IRS, you pretty much know it's a scam. You can hang up. You can go and call them yourself. You find the number online yourself or from wherever. Then you call them back. But never, ever respond to any calls from that.
But we're going to have to take a break. So after the break, we will continue talking with Councilwoman Christine Liu and police officers Mark Maguire and Jesse Cooper from the 3rd Precinct Pop Officer Unit about senior safety and scams. You're listening to Project Independence in You on LIU Public Radio.
So I get this call from my grandma, and she's like,
"What's a podcast and how much does it cost?"
So I tell her, podcasts are like radio shows, but you can download them on any device and listen to them anywhere at any time, and they're free. And then she says,
"I see, but where can you find good ones?"
And I'm like, go to wcwp.org/podcast and check out the lineup of original shows, or download any podcast app on your phone or tablet and search for LIU Studios. And she's all like,
"Oh, that sounds easy."
And then she asked me what an app is.
LIU Studios podcasts, available on any podcast app. You know, those little button things on your phone screen. Just ask your grandkids.
Welcome back to Project Independence in You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host, Kristina Liu, along with my co-host, Otto Lowe's. We're going to jump right back in with Councilwoman Christine Liu and police officers Mark Maguire and Jesse Cooper, all about senior scams and protecting yourself and safety and just spreading the word on everything that's going on. So welcome back, guys.
Good to be back.
Thanks for having us.
So let's say what else is kind of, unfortunately, we hate to call them like the hot scams that are going on, but what else is going on in North Hempstead and in Long Island in
Well,
general?
I actually would like to read to you a couple of actual scams that have happened.
Okay.
That were on news releases.
Mhm.
But just so people can get an idea of like how this stuff works. So this was a female victim, she's 65. She received a call from Amazon regarding her iPad. The victim was directed to speak with an agent at the Federal Trade Commission to report the fraud. Okay. So she's believing now that she's contacting the Federal Trade Commission. And of course it's not. So after contacting the Federal Trade Commission, the victim was informed that she had open warrants and was directed to meet a federal agent on a street corner, nearby street corner. The victim was told to place $32,000 in a box and put it inside the agent's car when he arrived. The victim followed the directions and realized the next morning that she may be a victim of the scam. The following day, the victim reported the crime, and then this person was eventually locked up for their crimes. We were able to follow it through. But that was a situation where it was more complex. She was contacted by Amazon, about an iPad, and then she was redirected to someone where she thought she was talking to the Trade Commission, who then told her she had a warrant for her arrest. So now it's what we said before. It's like that state of fear. They put her in that state of fear, and she's going to do anything she could to get out of that. And then once she realized that, oh, wait, this is
It's
a
hard to
scam.
believe that somebody would take $35,000, put it in a box and meet somebody on the street corner.
Mhm.
But that shows you that what you're trying to do here, the education part of it, I can't imagine somebody falling for that, but they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
They only need a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like we said before, just an alarming amount are not reported just because there's a shame placed on it and you feel like you were silly to fall for it, so you don't want to tell anybody about it. So part of the prevention is just removing the shame from it. We're all human, we all make mistakes. And just the fact that you put $35,000 in a shoebox sounds crazy and you don't want to tell people about it. But obviously this person did. And because of that, we made an arrest on it. So it's huge.
Yeah, no, and I think it's
I
a
mean,
good-
personally, we're both pretty good up to this point of knowing this stuff. I've been hit
yeah,
with a
right.
fake credit card and credit card charges that I didn't set up alerts, which I now know to do. You know, there's so many things you can do,
Yeah,
but there's so many frauds that you have to be aware of.
yeah, absolutely.
But you
It's
had some
actually
more
evolved
on
a
your
bit.
Yeah.
list there, yeah.
There's so many different things. I mean, I have categories of scams. The main categories are phone, text, computer, and then I have in person, which now goes down to like a distraction scam. And then we have our home improvement scams and our deception burglary scams.
Yeah, because and those home improvement ones, I know in North Hempstead, that was really even, I grew up in North Hempstead, and one of my old blocks, and this was probably a couple of months ago, that my neighbor across the street was hit with a home improvement thing that they went and said, oh, we're gonna help you to check out your roof, and then created all this damage, and then it was like a whole thing, and then I actually had a senior come into Project Independence that had a similar story, and it was just, you hear these things and they're so elaborate, and the amount of money that was lost was just astronomical.
Yeah. So, I mean, these guys, they're bold enough to even have their own flyers.
Yeah,
And they'll
right.
put flyers out, but they'll come to the house. They'll tell you what you need done. And chances are you probably don't need that kind of stuff
Right.
done. They'll damage, first of all, they'll take your money
Yeah.
as a down payment, and then they'll start damaging
Mhm.
your house.
Mhm.
And then once your house is damaged, that's it. Then they say, well, listen, we're going to need more money now. So that's how they get more money out of you. And then before you know it, you're in it. You're in it. And then that's when people call 911 because it's like, my house is getting damaged and I'm paying all this money. And then they just disappear. So now you're left with no money and a damaged house. So it's very,
I've
very
had
sad.
an experience with something like that a long time ago, where somebody knocked on the door and I said, you have a problem with your chimney. And I forget the terminology, but they started scooping the
Yeah.
grouting out in between the bricks. And they said, this is all going to fall apart. Yeah, it's going to fall apart if you keep scraping that stuff out of
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But that was a big setup, but that was a long time ago. I did not do anything with it, but I reflected back on that.
Yeah, and look, it's still
Yeah.
going on,
Yeah.
it's one of those things that it's just just terrible.
Yeah, I mean, we have a recent arrest for back in 2025, this year actually. We have a person that was actually doing masonry work. This case here, his name is Patrick Wall. He
Not
was
a real name, by the way.
Not a real name, right? Not a real name. Stating he was doing masonry. He was offering masonry work. What did it say? He stated he was a masonry worker and he'd be willing to perform construction on parts of their homes that needed repair. The victim accepted his offer, and over the course of the work, the defendant would intentionally create additional damage and inflated the cost of the new repairs. The victim eventually suspected that they were being scammed and notified police. After an extensive investigation, the defendant was located and placed under arrest without incident. And he's charged with multiple charges: grand larceny third, and many others. So it's real. It's out there, and they're doing it. So if anyone ever comes to the door offering work, just, you know what? Even if you're concerned about it, you can call 911 because they're not supposed to solicit.
Right.
Okay. So I think in North Hempstead, they got to get a permit. It's just call 911. And you know what? We'll talk to that person. We'll say, hey, what's going on? And we'll get them in the system. But don't even answer the door. Don't even answer the door.
I
someone
mean,
comes
if
to
you
the door, for
didn't
example.
really want work done,
Yeah.
you're the one who should start the work, not the other
Exactly.
side.
Exactly.
You know?
Do your research.
Yeah.
Do your research. Find out who's good.
Word of mouth, Better Business Bureau.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's really it. You kind of have to trust but verify.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be an untrusting person, but you really just need to verify everything. So a lot of people probably are sitting at home and they're like, hey, you know what, the roof doesn't look great, or the siding could be better, and they don't do anything about it. But then somebody shows up at the door, and their name is Patrick Wall, and he's a masonry worker. Like how perfect is that?
It's like a
Okay.
Hallmark thing.
Yeah, right. I have some money in the account. I could do it. I never called anybody, but you know what? This is perfect.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, how much? Okay. Yeah, great. Let's get it started. Fantastic.
Well,
And
you mentioned earlier the word pressure. I visualize, I'll give it to you for $1,000 cash.
yeah,
If you do it, tell me now because my boys are down the block.
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, they make it real easy.
Yeah.
There's always a sense of imminence, like they're going to be leaving the block tomorrow or whatever. So if we start the project now, you'll get it for this price. It's always something. Just like on the phone, they don't want to get you off the phone. They want to keep you on the phone.
One thing I do want to mention is, if you are looking for someone to do work to your house, or you're trying to look for a phone number of a legitimate person, we've actually had cases where people felt they were being scammed, went to Google and did a Google search to find the real
Don't tell
phone
me the
number.
scam number.
You know what I'm going to say next. They found another number that was wrong. It was a wrong number. And then they got scammed through that number that they were actually doing a Google search on.
Oh,
So the best way really to find a legitimate number is to call 411.
that's
Okay,
great.
you call 411 and you say the state and the town that you're in, and they'll direct you. That's the best way to get a legitimate number. Is just calling 411. And I tried that this morning, just to be sure. And I called 411 and I asked for the Social Security Administration, and it put me right through to the legitimate.
So
Social
you can
Security
call
Administration.
411,
Yeah.
give the name of an organization or a company.
Yes.
And they will do the whole lookup
Yep.
thing and
They
I
will
didn't
look it
know
up
you
for
could
you,
do that.
and
That's-
they'll give
Yeah,
you
no, because
information.
that's a great tip because
Yeah.
you're so right. But I even know for myself when I'm Googling something, you'll see like the things that pop in there, these sponsored things,
Yeah.
and you're into okay, like so it's top, so I'm gonna click this, and then you realize, wait, that's not Amazon. It's taking
Exactly.
you to like this version of
Yeah.
something, and you really can go, think you're doing your due diligence and still,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, there's so many things. I mean, you get an email and you have to look at whether the
You have
address.
to be like a
Can they now-
amateur detective.
But can
yeah.
they now disguise email addresses so that it looks legitimate?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They can even change, like if you can get an email from Citibank and they'll change the A from a legitimate A to a different type of an A. And that'll be a complete scam website.
Yeah.
So, and it'll lead you down a road that you don't want to go down.
Right.
And it could be a virus too that's going to shut off your computer. And if your computer ever does get a virus and you can't do anything about it, you bring it somewhere, you bring it to an establishment, that fixes computers. There's a lot of big name, stores out there that work on computers. Okay. They'll look at it for you. All right. Don't call the phone number on your computer. Okay. Because chances are that's the scammers.
Well, I mean, I think like we talked about another one, not the phone, but emails. You get an email, there's a shipment waiting for you.
I just got that
you know,
yesterday.
That comes
Yeah.
in like every other
Yeah,
day.
I really, and I'm like, there might be. I mean, the way I order things, there might very well might be.
Another
like who knows?
Easy Pass is one that's
Yeah,
been coming
yep.
in on the cell
That's the
phone.
new one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the new one. Don't click on it. Don't
No.
click on any links on your phone that you don't know.
No, and that's true. With Easy Pass, and I brought it up a couple of weeks ago on here, and this is what just shows you that, like, no matter what, senior, not senior, I can tell you all different ages of people that have, fallen victim to getting scammed. And with this Easy Pass one, I was just in my office and I was talking with a coworker. And she's like, oh, my husband's like been on the phone with Easy Pass forever. He got a thing. And I said, be careful. I said, that's a scam. I said, my husband and I actually got it, and they're just shooting it out to everyone in the hopes of someone traveled and said, because I thought for a second, I was like, wait, could it be, like it takes you a second and that's what they're hoping for. And I told my coworker, I said, tell your husband to luckily he was calling the actual Easy Pass.
Yeah.
That'd
But I
be
said,
more
don't
one-
pay anything.
That'd be one I think would be more for 65 and under. Because people in your categories are busy, you're running around, you don't have a lot of time. So you're looking at your email and say, oh, geez, Easy Pass.
Right.
Yeah.
As opposed to somebody who's not going through Easy Pass every day, because you maybe go once a year.
Right.
Well, that's how we knew it was a scam because my mom got it also. And she's like, I have not traveled anywhere. So I certainly know that it is not my Easy Pass, but
Just the other day, my wife got the same.
Yeah,
pass,
right.
Easy Pass. So, it's very easy to send it out to everyone, and it's a numbers game for them.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, I
Someone's
bet
gonna
you they
click on
get
it.
hit, they
Yeah.
do pretty good with that
Yeah.
one.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that's changed about it, as you were saying before, like the URL would show up and it would be look a little different. They kind of like got a little bit different with it. So now they'll put like an actual thing, like they'll put EasyPass
Right.
dot, but it won't be easypass.com or whatever the website would be. It'd be easypass.wxw.xvy or whatever. And it'll just look weird, but it has the name in it. So you're like, oh, that's probably their website. It's just an extension of it.
Or Easy Pass with one S.
Right,
Yeah.
right. There could be little differences,
Yeah.
but yeah, they'll do that. They'll put Amazon or, the USPS or whatever it might be. So it
Yeah.
looks like it's legit at first, but it's not.
How about gift cards? This seems to be in the middle of a lot of stuff.
That's how they get their money.
Right. Gift cards. I
Yeah.
mean, most kids don't like gift cards, right?
But what happens now?
Um,
Like I visualize this thing.
Right.
Okay, you go get $500 worth of Home Depot gift cards. So you got 10 gift cards for $50 a piece or whatever.
It's more of gift cards not giving what they
And that-
should.
and
So
that-
if
and
somebody
that-
says they want gift cards,
What
it's
happens
it's
after
just
that
not
now?
right.
The bad person, the crook,
Right.
says, okay, now you and I, a role player, right?
Mhm.
You're the crook. What are you going to say to me to get my 10?
Right.
should be easy
So,
for
so there's a plethora of different
does have the
angles they
number.
would come at. There's all different angles they would come at. But just for example, if it was something like something's wrong with your computer or whatever, and you have to pay them in order to make it right. But they say something like their boss can't see a transaction because we already billed you or whatever. There's some kind of problem. Just to avoid any problems, just get it on a gift card, and that'll be your way of paying us. So they'll tell you to get $500 in Home Depot gift cards, whatever, which sounds insane. This person's fixing your computer and they're going to get paid in $500 in a Home Depot
But what
gift
do you
card.
do with like we're on the phone, you're in Hong Kong and I'm here. What do you do with the gift card on your end?
So the gift cards are immediately, what you're going to do is read the PIN to them. That's what they have you do. They have you scratch it off and read everything to them. They shift it over to an account and they bounce it around, and now it's completely untraceable.
So we had a woman that came into the precinct once, and she was called up by somebody from the Nassau County, and they said that listen, we're calling you about a tax that you owe. It sounded real legitimate, and what she did was she says, "Oh, is this about the house that I just inherited?" And what do you think the scammer said? Oh, of course it is. And she goes, oh my goodness, my mother just died and I didn't realize there was back taxes on it. So how did this woman end up paying the supposed back taxes? She went around to almost every store in her town, okay, and got over $100,000 of iTunes gift cards.
Oh my God.
iTunes gift cards, and all the numbers were scratched off, and she read all the numbers to the gift cards to the scammer, lost over $100,000 that way. But that's how they get you. They want you, they put you in a state of fear, and they're going to get you to, they'll even send a taxi to your house to bring you to the store if you can't get to the store.
What does the scammer do with $100,000 worth of iTunes gift cards?
On a gift
Numbers
card
like
is
that. Now they have.
Can't
They sell
trace
it.
that, yeah.
It's untraceable, and they can sell it. They can list that and sell it for half the price.
Yeah,
And now the paper trail is gone.
yeah.
So everything is through the internet. And people always wonder, well, how do they get my information? How do they know who I am? How do I know who my family members are? All that information really is available online. If you type in a name of someone in a certain town, it'll come up with addresses, with names and family members that person is related to. So a lot of information is out there. It's scary.
We keep hearing about the dark web.
Yeah.
You can, like all this information that's collected,
Yeah.
and I have no idea how you get to the dark web. It's
Wow.
like the cloud. It's a big mystery area.
Yeah, no, the dark web is basically where, it's like a hacker's, playground.
Right.
Okay. And I know that there are certain services through Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion, okay, that will, if you pay them a fee, they will monitor, they say they'll monitor the dark web for you, and they'll insure you up to $1 million and things like that. I have a similar service to that, but it's, you don't really know, you don't really know, but, once your information's out there, it's real easy to get. So, changing your passwords is always important, writing them down somewhere safe, okay? Never volunteer information. That's how they get you. They get you into fear. And like this woman, she volunteered information and they used that against us. And you don't have to be a senior. They almost got me
Right,
once.
that's
They
what
got
I'm
me
saying.
once. I mean, someone called me up from Chase and, they said that my account had been hacked. I said, oh, okay, all right. And they said, we just need you to verify your credit card number. I said, oh, really? You want me to give you my credit card number to verify? Like, yeah, just to make sure it's you. And I'm like, all right, no, thanks. But they almost had me because I'm like, all right, they're calling me to tell me that, but-
absolutely.
but they wanted
How
my
many
credit
people
card.
you think they caught?
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to need to take another break. Clearly, we have so much to talk about. After the break, we will continue talking with Councilwoman Kristina Liu and police officers Mark Maguire and Jesse Cooper from the 3rd Precinct about senior safety and scams. You're listening to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio.
Take WCWP with you wherever you go with the WCWP app. Listen live 24/7 to all of our streams, all from one app. Plus, call the studios directly from the app and visit our social media. Download the app through the iOS App Store on Apple devices or the Google Play Store on Android by searching WCWP Radio or visit WCWP.org for links. The WCWP app, available now on iOS and Android devices.
Welcome back to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio. I'm your host, Kristina Liu, along with my co-host, Otto Los. We're going to continue talking with Councilwoman Kristina Liu and police officers Mark Maguire and Jesse Cooper from the 3rd Precinct about senior scams and protecting yourself. So in our break, we were talking about, it's just so hard, and we've said this a million times, and I think the overarching thing is, scammers are trying to pressure you and create fear and urgency. And listen, I immediately want to get it done too, right? You hear someone like, let me just get the situation resolved. But then I think what we all need to remember is to just take a breath, right? And look through these things and really just pause and call the number, or, really look at the website that's being sent to you, because, it takes time. I said, I was making a joke, but like, you actually have to be like an amateur detective, I know for myself, like what looks weird on this email, it's like, so you have to really do that. And Otto brought up during the break about AI,
I think the list of scams is so long, it's impossible to
Right.
cover them all. So maybe AI is one of the things you have to pay attention to. And then what do you do to make sure, or the best
what can you
defense
do, right?
tools to make sure you don't get scammed?
Yeah.
Number one, I think is coming out here is get educated.
Mhm.
And number two is don't trust anything you see. You have to be like that, unfortunately.
It's almost like you have to be so cynical all the time and be on guard. And it's really sad that we have to do that, but we do have to protect ourselves, And I think what Kristina said, you have to take a deep breath, pause and think about these things that you're doing, because when they call you or something is online, it's always so emergent, like this is an emergency situation. And so your mind kind of starts spiraling and going to like different thoughts and bad thoughts. So just take a deep breath and then call somebody that you know. Say, hey, I just got this call. Just hang up. It's okay to hang up, say, I'll call you back, or maybe they'll call you. They will call you back, right? Or let me get your number. And then call somebody that you trust. Maybe, your children or a friend or a neighbor, or even the police. I think sometimes people are most embarrassed or scared to call the police for whatever reasons. Perhaps they don't think that their issue is important enough to call the police. You think to call the police when your house got robbed, right? Or your car got stolen, but not if you just gave $10,000 to actually, romance scams are pretty big.
That's a great point.
So
that's actually a wonderful
some
point.
seniors, they want some more companionship. And so you go on to these online romance kind of websites or to find companionship. And then you meet somebody and then they're in a bind and then they want some money from you. And then, you can they first start with like $50, $100. But my friend's mom sent over $10,000. So it was very heartbreaking, right? So these romance scams, that's very embarrassing.
Yeah.
But no, we need to deal with these things. So anytime, you just have to be so cautious when anybody wants any form of payment from you.
Don't react right away.
Exactly.
To anything.
You just have to pause.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wants gift cards as payments, anything legit. You never pay by a gift card, right? Or iTunes gift cards. Those are just like red flags that we have to realize. Like the IRS won't call you. No one's gonna ever want you to pay by gift cards. Things of that nature are just red flags. And
Now, I'm sorry, but the flip side of that is somebody comes into Home Depot and they want 15 gift cards. Is there like a campaign out there to try to educate the retailers that they should pay attention to these odd requests? You know, they can stop it also. And I've read occasionally that does happen.
Yeah, for sure. It's become commonplace in a lot of businesses to now educate their employees on suspicious behavior. So when you're seeing, like you said, 10, 15 gift cards being bought at large amounts of money, that they're supposed to stop and ask the person, hey, do you know why you're buying these? Are these for gifts? Are these for your family? Like, why are you buying these? They're supposed to ask questions. And if they can't answer the questions properly, they're told to call us, 911. So yeah, it is out there, but just as everything, like not every employee follows the protocol. You know what I mean? And sometimes they don't want the problem. They don't want to call their manager. They don't want to call.
And it's awkward, right? Like I get like the person, like it's like, like, excuse me, why are you asking me? Why I'm buying, it's, you don't want like that kind of, it's like a bizarre request, but I think it goes back to education and the importance of community and kind of as many people you can join forces with to get this word out, I think is just so huge. I mean, that's a great point, getting local business involved, with the police, with, the local government, is just, it's the only way to kind of try and combat, these criminals.
I do tell everybody, for instance, the chimney example that you gave earlier, Otto, that's still happening. You said that happened to you 10, 15 years ago. That just happened last year to another person in New Hyde Park. Sidewalks, oh, this looks like a tripping hazard. Let's help you. And then they break up your sidewalk and then they never come back, right? So sidewalks, just so everybody knows, in the town of North Hempstead, that is the town of North Hempstead's jurisdiction. You're never supposed to touch your sidewalks or fix them in any way, okay? So if anybody says, I'll come and fix them for you, no, we're supposed to call 311 and have the town come and fix your sidewalks for you. But I understand chimneys and roofs and things of that nature.
Free inspection. Let me look at, oh yeah, you got a big hole up there. How did it get there?
Yeah.
You put it there.
Exactly, you put it there.
But that's the beauty of a roof, is usually you can't see it.
I was just thinking that.
And the chimney too, right, exactly. Another big one that I get is a lot of times they offer seniors free services and they say, we just need your Medicare number, right? And in order to get these free services. So you happily turn that over because you think you're going to get some offers. And so that's something you have to be on guard about.
Yeah, we actually had a whole topic on, the Medicare. Because it's so much is being charged to your Medicare number that if you're not monitoring, like, how are you going to know, and it was like so astronomical amount of money of all these different services and equipment, were being billed that were not being utilized, so it's just, it's so important. That's the other thing, we talk about this. I always laugh because, I'm old school and I have like my check register that I double check, against my bank account thing, because I'm like, sometimes things aren't posted, right, to your transaction thing so it's just the importance of really paying attention and monitoring, all these credit cards and bank accounts is just so important.
Well, like the paperless society,
right?
Right. A lot of people, me included, get your notice that says your new explanation of benefits is on your site. Okay, so you got 842 emails. So you figure, I'll push this one aside, and you don't look at your explanation of benefits, and then people find out. We've heard this story. You want a wheelchair. Well, you got a wheelchair about 3 months ago. You can't get a wheelchair now. Somebody else already put through a charge for a wheelchair. And, the Medicare has some limits, and you find out the hard way when you do need something. You can't get it because somebody already did it.
Already used it, right. And I think in one of our workshop series, the officers informed us of this Good Samaritan kind of scam where they let the air out of your tires because they see you going into the bank and you're probably going to withdraw some money. They let the air out of your tires, and then later on they follow you because your purse is in your passenger side, and then you have to stop because your tire is flat. and this scammer comes and poses as a good Samaritan and stops to try to help you
Oh
fix
my
your
God.
tire. To me, that is just unforgivable.
Yeah, right.
Like
Yeah.
you've caused this,
Yeah.
and now you're the good Samaritan to come rescue, and then the other partner goes and they take your
Yeah,
purse,
take all those
you know.
distractions. Stuff like
Exactly.
that.
So even these
Like
things,
I
the good
said, you can't,
Samaritans.
the list is so long.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one that I hadn't heard about, the taking the air out of the
No,
tires.
it's all these and then you kind of, and I get it, like we've all been there where I've been there a bazillion times. I used to be the queen, and from this show, I stopped doing it, of putting my pocketbook in the shopping cart, right? So it'd be in there, and then I'd turn around, I'd get, what I need from the shelf, and I'm not, and, there's my bag, wide open for anyone to, and I was like I might have been 16, 17, and I was working at this clothing store, and I had my bag on the counter, and someone came in, and I remember I was devastated because took my paycheck that I just got paid that day, and I was hysterically crying to my mom. I'll never forget. But it was like, it's these things that you just kind of are careless, right? You're distracted by doing everything. I mean, we're all on our phones all the time. I mean, we're all guilty of it, no matter what age you are. And I think it goes back to like how important it is to really be present in that. And even with, I remember holiday, I think it was an alert that you guys actually sent out. And it was when you're even putting your groceries or your shopping bags in your car, make sure you have your bag on you, because that's another thing. You're leaving it there and you're loading up your car and not paying attention to what's going on around you. So
Well, we
it's
use
just,
the word mindfulness
right,
a
exactly.
lot,
Yeah.
and it really, you're running, you're in the parking lot in a supermarket or whatever, or you just left the bank with a couple of $100 cash,
Mhm.
and you really don't look around,
Yeah.
and there's some nice person behind you who just sees your little envelope, and
Yeah.
as I said, the list is long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is just so many scams. And what I could say, we can't cover them all here today, but
Right.
we can also have the officers come
The
to your
great-
civic
yeah.
meeting or to your senior groups,
Absolutely.
and they can offer the senior scam prevention workshop.
That's
so
great.
that
So is there like how would someone get in touch with you guys? Like, would you call a certain number, or are you calling 911? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so you're going to call your local precinct.
Okay.
So if you're calling the 6th precinct or the 3rd precinct, you just give a call to the front desk. They'll put you in charge, put you over to whoever's in charge of the program. In most precincts, it would be the pop unit would be handling something like that. So just give us a call. That's really all it is. And we'll talk to you and we'll set
Are there
something up.
more
And
of
it's
you
that simple.
guys, women, anybody, more representatives, officers?
Yeah, so there's 8 precincts,
Right.
and there's 4 pop officers in every precinct.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, and then we also have community affairs, which runs somewhat of a similar role. And then yeah, we have the resources. Just set it up. We'll put you on the schedule, and we'll come down. And we would be very happy to do it.
I have a question. In the notes, there was a term, Community Policing Center. I never heard that one before. What is a community policing center?
I'm not sure of the term
It was
particularly
listed-
applied to Nassau
It was
County,
listed
but
with the precincts.
okay.
And then it said Community Policing
Community
Center, and had
Policing
another
Center.
phone number.
I wonder if that would connect you to community affairs, possibly.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But I'm not familiar with that
okay.
precise term.
So you can always feel free to call your council person as well. Feel free to call my office, and we'll reach out to our pop officers in the different
Yeah, but
precincts.
you're not my council lady. You're
Oh.
a block off.
A block.
She's
It's
like,
okay,
listen, I'll
Otto.
make an
It's okay.
exception.
It's fine.
You can change
She's
it,
like,
right?
for you.
I'll do a little hard out.
Stuff in the past.
No problem. We'll just change it up.
Yes.
No, but I think that's a great point. And, obviously,
Whoever
if
you
you live
choose.
in town of North Hempstead, you can call 311 and get connected to
Yes.
the correct person. And I think it's important to know, too. We always say, Project Independence, we're obviously 60 and over based, but there's a lot of times we get phone calls from people who are not 60 over, and we're not hanging up the phone on you. So I think everyone in the town of North Hempstead is going to get you connected to the right place, certainly. And it's certainly in a situation when you're being, falling victim of a scam or something. So if they can call, I mean, there's, we've been doing the show
yeah.
for a very long time, and there's so many phone numbers that it says, if you've, if someone scammed you, call, the Attorney General, call the Federal Trade Commission. Like, so can you just call the police department, as your first kind of go-to stop?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And we recommend it.
Okay.
So 911 is an emergency line, but it's not just dedicated for emergencies.
Right.
It's for everything. So it's prioritized. So no call is too little or too big.
Yeah, see, that's great. That's
Yes.
perfect.
Yeah. So if you have something that's not an urgent thing for us to respond to, it goes as a prioritized list. So obviously, somebody that is in need of medical help is going to be responded to first. So don't feel like you're pulling away from our resources. We'll get there when we get there after that. And then we'll respond to it and we'll walk you through it. So whatever questions you have, we're going to do our best to answer them. We'll take a report, obviously, we'll document it. Most of these agencies will ask for some form of police report, just because a lot of people might report these things thinking that they might get some kind of return on money or whatever, but it might not be forthcoming. So that when you have a police report, it looks legit because you're swearing to us that this is the truth and you could be falsifying a police report. So a lot of them, like bank institutions, will ask for a police report just for that purpose.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
Have you seen AI involvement in scams at all?
Not per se. I know it's on the horizon.
Right.
My personal experience, I haven't seen anything that I know of, but it might be that good where I don't even know
Right.
that it's happening. But there are things as like photoshopping and deep fakes and things like that. I remember reading about recently, there was a national news about a woman that fell for a romance scam, which was with Brad Pitt. So
I mean, it could happen.
yeah. So this is like a senior, and she created her first Instagram account.
Oh.
And she was on there because she was with a family on like a ski trip or something like that, and created her first Instagram account. And soon after, somebody contacts her, and they claim that there's somebody very close to Brad Pitt, and that he's going through this terrible divorce, and all of his assets are frozen, and he can't afford this crazy surgery they have to have or whatever.
Oh my
So they're sending him pictures of him in a hospital bed, like with his face photoshopped, and they're faking all these photos, and they get her to, I think she laid out like $850,000 to Brad Pitt, supposedly. So it happens to people though.
Poor Brad.
Yeah,
No,
right.
I do think it's something that like it's, to pay attention to, because I know myself, I'll be scrolling away and you'll see a video and you're like, oh my God. And then you're like, wait a second, like, you need to like take, because it's hard to decipher a lot of things that are, and especially if you're, not super savvy, I could absolutely see how it's possible.
You
to
would send
fall.
150,000.
I mean, maybe to Harry Styles or Justin Timberlake. I don't know about Brad Pitt, but
So let's just keep in mind, don't pick up calls that you don't
Yeah.
know. That's number one,
Yeah.
right? Just let it go to voicemail. If it's important enough, they will leave a voicemail. Never give out your personal information, credit card numbers, date of birth, Medicare, Medicaid numbers, the personal information. And then very important, just verify with your children. They're calling you about your children, or your loved one, your grandchildren, that they're in a bind, right? That's the most emergent one. Just call them, have a password.
I got a question.
Yes.
Credit card number, all right? Occasionally you wind up, you're on the phone with somebody and you buy something, all right? You have to give them your credit card number. And the next part of it is the secret code
Yeah.
that
Yes.
most people on the planet know what it is.
Yes.
You have to
know.
give them the secret code. You have no idea who's on the other end.
I know.
And this could be a legitimate business. So there are things that are difficult to
know.
protect yourself against.
When I order takeout from my local favorite place, right?
Yeah.
I give them my credit card number over the phone. And then I actually was literally just having this conversation with my mom because I was like, thankfully nothing there, but who knows like where that number, if it's written down, who picked it up, who spread. I mean, you're giving your my zip code, my, the code. And I think about it
everything-
sometimes and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm actually doing this right now.
Well, one of the things that, as far as that type of thing goes, with the bank, it doesn't matter. We're not selling any bank, but we put up alerts for immediately. I get a
Yep.
thing that says somebody used your credit card without having the card in hand, and you get it right away. Now, that doesn't mean you can necessarily stop that transaction, but it definitely means you right away know
Yeah.
that somebody's fiddling around with your credit card account. So I'm saying set up alerts with the bank, credit card company, for anything, really. It may be annoying to get them all, but at least
So no, that's such a great point, Otto, because a lot of these things, and I've found that too, is it is a time sensitive issue, right? And especially so even like you might not, but I think so many people we know, especially with these credit, we were talking like, oh, you're charged 50 cents here, $100 here, and it adds up. So it's just, that's a great golden nugget, Otto. But you guys, we could talk forever, but we are out of time. I would like to thank so much our guests today, Councilwoman Kristina Liu and police officers Mark Maguire and Jesse Cooper. You're listening to Project Independence and You on LIU Public Radio.